What's happening, people? Hope you're well. Welcome back to another late night roundup. I've had a bit of a trim, and on my screen, it looks like I've literally gone clean shaven, man, which is a madness. I can promise you it's not, but my camera clearly isn't 4K. Listen, it's been a mad day as far as Arsenal are concerned, hasn't it? And there's been lots of drama in relation to Mason Mount getting the number 7 shirt. Oh no, it's a number. Yes, I'm a little bit old school, but let's be real. It's actually a number. It's not going to make him play any worse. It's not going to make him play any better. It ain't going to be the be all and end all. If he's scoring goals, I'm sure people won't be complaining. Wesbird in the chat gonna say looking sharp, Dan. Thank you very much, man. It's mad, isn't it? I've literally had a trim. It looks like I've gone clean shaven. Crazy. Anyway, not here to talk about that. Not here to talk about male grooming. We're here to talk about football. I have to say, I'm gonna call out my boy. I'm gonna call out my boy Dan Lawless. He's been getting a lot of stick. He's getting a lot of stick on Twitter. Some of it deserved. Some of it he's brought on himself. A lot of it he's brought on himself, actually. Some of it getting a little bit over the top. Some people giving him a lot of stick. I've kept calm today. You know, a couple of people have clipped stuff up for me. Some people have pointed me in the direction of tweets he's made. Tweets where he said that Arsenal really think they're going to sign Declan Rice. Tweets where he's become a little bit bitter. Yeah, he is a bit salty, man. Old Lawless. I don't know what it is about Dan Lawless and Arsenal. He seems to hate us, and from his from his mouth, it's the Arsenal fans he hates. It's not the Arsenal Football Club itself. It's not particularly any of the players. It's definitely not the manager that he dislikes, or the board, or the ownership. Um, and I've known Dan Lawless for about 4 years, maybe 5 years now. And I have to say, I've never seen him like this. He's really not happy that Declan Rice has chosen Arsenal, is he? And he's not the only one, by the way. There's a lot of West Ham fans out there that seem to try to put themselves on a level playing field with Arsenal, saying, why has he gone there? He ain't going to win nothing. He might as well just stay at West Ham. It's not the ambition needed. I find it bizarre. I don't know what the hatred is. I've always been okay with West Ham because I think together we can have a bit of a laugh at Spurs together. I wasn't really gutted that they won the European trophy like some people were. Some people believed that I was. It was more banter with Lawless, really. If they would have lost, I would have laughed at him. If they would have won it, I congratulated him. And that's what I did. And that's why he never really come for me when they won it, because I wasn't really giving it to him about, their football club. I was just having a laugh with him about why it'd be quite funny if they went out. But for me, it's been a real obsession at the moment that I'm seeing on Twitter with West Ham hatred towards Arsenal, and I don't really understand why. Declan Rice has been signed. Declan Rice is coming to Arsenal. It's done, people, and we finally agreed a structure of how to pay back West Ham, which, to be fair, when you say it like that, is actually quite embarrassing. Now, I understand it has to happen in every single deal, and I'm not foolish enough or naive enough to believe that when you pay X amount, it all goes into one bank and then it all goes into another bank. It's obviously structured and there's payments and installments. And I understand that happens with every deal. But this one just seemed to take forever, didn't it? Feels like we've been linked with Declan Rice for years, not weeks. And we finally got it over the line. Now, apparently, we were trying to prevent paying it over 18 months, which is what West Ham wanted. We wanted it over 3 years. The rumor is, isn't it, that now it's been 2 years. So again, good negotiation from our team or our side, and to be fair, good negotiation from West Ham as well to get that much for him. I do find it a little bit strange that West Ham were crying and crying and crying last season, saying Declan Rice is 120 million, otherwise don't bother. And now they're saying, "God, they've overpaid for 105 million." Well, which one is it? Because a minute ago he was 120, now he's 105, and we've overpaid with 105. I don't quite understand what it is with West Ham. I actually believe they've lost their heads a little bit. Bless them. They've lost their heads. They don't like the fact he's gone to another London club. They don't like the fact he's gone to better his career at a bigger London club. And as much as I do appreciate that perhaps he hasn't gone with the ambition of Real Madrid or Manchester City, he's gone to a club where he believes he can be a part of something special. Now, I don't really know if that's going to happen or not, because I don't see into the future. But there was a lot of truth into the rumours that in the end, by the way, that he did want Arsenal, because it looks like that is now clear. There's a lot of West Ham fans that were saying he doesn't want to stay in London. He'd be happy to go to Manchester. Manchester's always been his preference. Man United is where he wanted to go as a kid. Manchester City is where he will end up, because they're going to come in now and he's going to have ambition to go and win trophies right now. And I was starting to actually go that way at one stage because people were shouting in my ears about it. And I started to clue up myself thinking, where would I go? If I'm Declan Rice, am I going to go and guarantee myself trophies, or am I going to believe into a project? And it looks like now he's chosen London for the pull of the Mikel Arteta and his project. Now it looks like he's going to come into the side and absolutely transform the midfield. If one thing happens, we keep going. We can't now keep Declan Rice and go, that's us done. Let's go for Man City. We got to do a hell of a lot more. There's still a long way to go as far as Arsenal's transfer window is concerned. But my God, what a good 24 hours it has been for us Gooners. We've had some great news in the transfer window, and it just keeps getting better and better. But I wanted to bring something up on Declan Rice because I think it's really key. From what I'm being told, there's a lot of talk about his feeling when he had a contact with Mikel Arteta and had a conversation with Mikel Arteta. And a lot of people kind of brushed it under the carpet and said it ain't nothing to do with Mikel Arteta. He wants to come to Arsenal because he wants to stay in London. And as much as I think that perhaps that probably helped the cause and it was maybe a bit of a bonus that he didn't have to move his family out somewhere up north, I do think that Mikel Arteta seems to have a bit of a pull. And then I come across a tweet today that I was sent on WhatsApp, which I'm going to show to you. This come from Danny Murphy. And Danny Murphy has shared what Declan Rice had said to him about Mikel Arteta. And he said, I've got to say, it's worth saying, I saw Declan Rice on Sunday at the CAF by mine. He was outside. I popped out to see him and we were chatting and he was absolutely buzzing. He couldn't wait to get to Arsenal. And he said that Mikel Arteta was magic when he met him. So there has been a pull. There has been an understanding that Mikel Arteta and Declan Rice have formed this relationship, which years ago would have been called tapping up, but now it happens all the time. I think personally there's a lot to do with Mikel Arteta. And whatever he's told him, he believes that it's the right club for him. And whether you think that's the right or wrong thing for Declan Rice, time will only tell. I personally feel like he'll be a fantastic signing. And it doesn't really bother me how or why or who. What bothers me is he's here. And for the first time in, let's be real, how long? We finally got our plan A target, people. We've been chasing this guy for what feels like forever, and he's finally come through the door. Now, I think a signing like Declan Rice is actually one of our biggest signings in history. Not just because it's the record-breaking signing for the Premier League, but because Arsenal don't normally do this. It shows where Arsenal were trying to be, and now where Arsenal are. And I think what we can look at right now is that we are in a position where Arsenal can now compete for the very best. And I'm not talking about us going and buying Messi's, Ronaldo's, Mbappe's, Haaland's. I'm talking about when players like Declan Rice are available. Previously, Arsenal used to go, oh, kind of wish we had that money. Now we have. Before it would have been, who's he going to? Chelsea, City, or United? Pick one. Now we're at the table and we're saying, do you know what? We can do this now. So big up to all of the regime for this one because they all deserve credit. When things go wrong, I think it's fair and justifiable to criticize. When it goes right, it's only fair to say well done and fair play. Because the way I see this one is whether you think it took too long, whether you think it was smooth, whether you think it was really bloody rugged, whether you think it was something that you got frustrated with, doesn't matter now. He's an Arsenal player, going to be in the Arsenal shirt. Apparently, he's going to keep this number. I think it's 41, which is going to be a bit of a strange number to keep. Rumors are that he wants that number and he kind of believes that he's always had that number and it's stuck by him well. So it looks like he's going to probably do that and keep number 41 on the back of his shirt. So Rice and Havertz are done. Rice and Havertz are there. But it's not only those two that have come in the door today. Julian Timber, price has been agreed. They're talking about 38.5 million, which could be rising towards the 40s, depending on incentives and obviously the add-ons. I'm not going to sit there and start becoming way over the top, but I am extremely excited by this signing. I look at him on the ball and he looks technically gifted, like ridiculously good. Like on the ball, how he is a huge part of the transition of the team. Ajax have said that, these sort of players, there's a few like him, isn't there? There's a few like him that have come on the scene, boom, as a youngster, 22, I think he is, can play in a couple of positions. And they're saying, wow, this kid, he's completely changed how we have played football in terms of our style. Now, a lot of people are surprised about where he's going to be playing, and is he going to start? Is he going to be a centre back? Is he going to be a right centre back? Is he going to be a right back? Is he going to be a wing back? Is he going to play as a number 6? A lot of people are up in the air about this. I think he's going to provide competition in a number of those positions, but I do believe that at the moment, our front first 11 is probably set until people start leaving. Now, Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey are the two that people can mention, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But as far as I'm aware, none of the back line are leaving. There's only potentially Kieran Tierney who might be tempted with a first-team football move, but it looks like he could be staying now, which I really hope is true, of course. But actually, when you look at it, I think Jurriën Timber's going to be fighting for Ben White on that right-back position. I think if Saliba was to come out of the side, you can then debate who comes in. Timber, Ben White, Tomiyasu, all options there, which is fantastic. This is what we need in every single position, guys. I've said this a few times this week and last week. Our defense right now looks at one of the most versatile and best in terms of strength and depth in the league. It's right up there with Manchester City for me right now. Now, on paper, you'd say that Manchester City with Gvardiol obviously have a better standard of quality, but in terms of our actual cover and what we've managed to provide so far, I'm really quite impressed with what I've seen. I can't even lie. So finally, Arsenal are looking serious in the transfer window. We've managed to get this signing across the line. We've managed to get Timber, Havertz and Rice in the first couple of weeks of the transfer window opening. And of course, we've still got a few more weeks left to make sure that we can try to ensure these players coming in. Now, I'm going to say this. With Rice, Timber and Havertz, we've improved. If Xhaka and Partey leave, we need to replace them. We can't sit there and say that because Rice has come in, that's the Partey replacement, and Xhaka comes out to the team, Havertz comes in, we're done. We still need at least one more midfielder, and I still feel we're short up top. And I don't care if that means we're short in the striker position on the left or the right. We need a forward of some kind that can either play in a position or allow for another player to be moved so that that player can come into their position. And what I mean by that is we buy a centre forward that Jesus can go on the right-hand side, or if he gets to the stage where Saka needs a rest, then we move somebody in through the middle, or if Jesus gets an injury, we can replace him. I still think there's a problem there. Now, I'm kind of hearing some small rumours that Osimhen is kind of our target for 2024. Now, I thought he was going this summer. I can't lie to you. But there's a lot of rumours saying that that might not be the case. So there's going to be a real fight for these number 9s because there ain't many of them, people. United are seriously looking at Rasmus Højlund. He's a youngster who hasn't proven himself. For me, the likes of Kane are probably going to end up staying at Spurs. And then you've got Osimhen, who we've just spoken about. There's Vlahovic, who's 77 million now that Juventus want. I can see some of those players potentially leaving, but there ain't that many number 9s about, is there? I don't look at many number 9s and think, God, yeah, there's so many at the moment. And 5 or 6 clubs want number 9s, but how many actually are there available at the moment that you would 100% want? The Kylian Mbappe rumours, they keep I don't know, they keep hovering around, don't they? That Arsenal are actually going to be ambitious enough to go in for a Kylian Mbappe move because PSG have said that if he doesn't sign, then he can go this summer, not next summer. Now, I thought he was just going to walk away on a free next summer and go to Real Madrid, but it looks like they're basically saying that he can go now. And Real Madrid, at the moment, from what I know, can't really afford him unless they do some corruption like they usually do with the politics over there and get him. So for me, man, it's going to be huge. If he goes somewhere, it's only really Real Madrid, but wouldn't you just love it for us to just put in a bid? Like, he's going to turn us down, guys, right? He's never coming to Arsenal, not in my opinion anyway. Not right now. Maybe in a couple of years, we prove we're champions of Europe. We prove we're Premier League winners. We can do all that. Fine. Mbappe would probably look at us. Now, right now, he'd look at the project. He wouldn't laugh it off, but he would look at us and go, what are they actually saying? Because there's a lot of talk about this Arsenal young side. What are they saying? Are they ready to win now? Love us to put in a bid. Can't see it being accepted. What's he going to want a week, people? Let me know in the chat. 500k a week? 600k a week? This is a ridiculously huge signing for anybody, and it's going to cost an absolute bomb. But you're getting a 24-year-old that can play up top or left as a left forward, and for me is the best in his position in the world. So is it worth it? Is it worth it? I think he's off to Real Madrid. I think he's Madrid bound. But isn't it nice to even flirt with the idea and actually know that Arsenal are in a better position now than they ever were of talking about players of that quality or even near to that quality? It means we're in a good place, guys. It really does. Sticking with Arsenal, I'm going to put this up as well because I saw this today in 442. So according to 442, Santi Cazorla could make a return to Arsenal this season as a member of Mikel Arteta's backroom staff. Cazorla's just left the Qatar club, and though rumours are rife that Villarreal could well offer him a third stint at the Yellow Submarine, he may well return to the Emirates Stadium where he spent 6 years. Arteta said to want Cazorla to become a member of his coaching staff. Cazorla is arguably one of the most naturally gifted football players to ever play for the Arsenal, and the fans would love to have him back in any capacity. I always thought it was a bit of a shame that Santi Cazorla left the way that he did. He didn't really get a proper goodbye, in my opinion. There was no real understanding of Santi Cazorla leaving, and I didn't think he got the right send-off. I welcome him back tomorrow. I know for a fact that as well as Xabi Alonso, Mikel Arteta is extremely close to Santi Cazorla and was his best mate in football, particularly when he was at Arsenal. I think it would be great to have somebody like that. Mikel Arteta has always had his coaching staff alongside him. But could you pick one of the coaching staff that knows Mikel Arteta inside out? I'm not so sure that we can. I'm really not so sure if Steve Round, if Airport Albert, if Carlos Kester, if Nicholas Hover, any of those guys know Mikel Arteta inside out. I'm not so sure. So it'd be great. It would be great to see, wouldn't it, if we could get Santi back in the coaching room, knows what it's like, understands what it's like to play for the Arsenal, wear the shirt, knows his place around, is massively popular with the fans. And for me, I think would be a brilliant, brilliant appointment. The guy is technically unbelievable. Imagine him in training. Imagine him coaching in training. He'd be taking it around everybody. Still, at the age of, what is he, 36, 37? Maybe he's more than that. So let's be real. Adrian Moody, great shout. BFG is one that will know Mikel Arteta 100%, man. That's a great, great shout. But he's never really standing on the sidelines with him, is he? Santi will be. So it'll be great to see, man. Jack Wilshere is another one, of course, at the under-18s who's doing a phenomenal job. And I saw a clip of him the other day talking to the youngsters when they beat Spurs, and he was absolutely superb. He was passionate. The desire was still there to want to win. It was great to see that having an effect on some of the youngsters who, let's be real, be looking up to him as somebody who knows exactly what it's like to play there. Let me just bring up a comment quick. Daniel, apologies if I've offended, mate. I didn't mean to. Says, Dan, we ain't corrupt, mate. Our transfer deals are always transparent, unlike Barcelona. Mate, it was a little bit of a kind of tongue-in-cheek comment. There's a lot of rumours that it's very corrupt in some of the things, and I have absolutely no evidence to suggest that's true, mate. So that's, of course, not what I'm meaning. But I do think that Real Madrid, if they want Mbappe, will get him. I just don't think there's any other club at the moment, in my eyes anyway, that will be affording Kylian Mbappe. And that also would be tempting for Kylian Mbappe. You know, he's looking at Manchester City and Real Madrid for me. That would be it. Imagine if Man City go for him. Imagine if Man City go for Mbappe. Can you imagine having Mbappe, Haaland, and who would it be? Suppose Grealish or Mahrez? Jesus, that would not be fun, would it? That really wouldn't be. It would be done. It'd be absolutely done, man. Make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you put your questions in the chat right now. If you want to join as a member, you can do. Make sure you like and subscribe to this. We're trying to get up to 15k, which is the next target now that we've hit over 10. Thank you so much for that. Make sure you just hit a like and a subscribe. It's absolutely free. If you do want to support the channel financially, you can do that by either dropping a super chat of any form, or you can join as a member and pay their minimal monthly fee. It's absolutely up to you. I, of course, don't expect you to, but if you could throw in a couple of super chats for questions, that would be brilliant. They'll go straight to the top of the pile. If you don't want to put in a super chat, then please still get involved with the chat and the comments and the interaction, and just literally hit a Q so I know exactly what it is that we are looking at. question wise. I wanted to bring up a couple of comments first of all, because I'm not quite finished on the news. There is rumours that Tchouaméni and De Jong are on Arsenal's alerts. I did hear this, and I didn't know how true it was. Now, I did a stream on it the other night about Tchouaméni, and De Jong was the name that was, you know, bandering around. I don't know if either of these are realistic, but I do know that I would be very excited if either of them become a possibility, because they are huge, huge players to come to Arsenal Football Club at the right age, that have an unbelievable amount of quality and still potential, and they could take us to that next level in terms of our midfield. If you had Declan Rice alongside one of these two guys, Declan Rice can play as an 8, either of these side can play as a 6. I do think personally we are looking at another midfielder at least, particularly if Xhaka and Partey are both to leave. So let's keep a look at this. How much are these going to cost? These are probably going to be costing the same fees as Caicedo, which I find a bit bizarre as why we're not still going in for him. It must be something already agreed there with Chelsea for me, if we're not interested in him. Now, perhaps we get Rice and Timber completely confirmed, and then all of a sudden, he's the next one through the door. Who knows? Rumours that Lavia may be looking at Liverpool now, but I believe we're still interested. So it's going to be a case of where he fancies. But Tchouaméni would be probably my number one there. I think at 23 years old, he's got everything that's needed. De Jong, I'm a big fan of. I don't think he's really hit it at Barcelona. Maybe someone in the chat can tell me otherwise. But we're certainly in a position where we need another midfielder for sure. Let's take our first question of the night. Which is from Hayden. Hayden, big up. I was going to mention this, bro, and seeing as you have, let's mention it now. The thoughts on the Arsene Wenger statue. It has to happen, doesn't it? If there's going to be another statue that's going to be unveiled, for me, it had to be between the Ian Wright and Rocky statue or Arsene Wenger, and it looks like they've gone with Arsene Wenger. Deserves a statue. One of the greatest managers Arsenal have ever had, if not the greatest manager, if you want to look at the Herbert Chapmans, the George Grahams, and of course the Arsene Wengers. I think it's quite nice to see that Arsene Wenger's thinking about returning, has returned, is speaking to Mikel Arteta. I don't like ill feeling at any Arsenal club. And people say, keep him away, keep him away. Yeah, he did some really poor stuff at Arsenal, right? Towards the end of his career, it was time. It's too stubborn. It was time for him to go. I don't really want to go into it again because it's like new beginnings now for Arsenal. But he does deserve a bit more respect than he has been getting. And some people have said, don't do this. This is definitely not the what we need right now, blah, blah, blah. I understand there are concerns and there are people that don't like Arsene Wenger and believe he needs to be just kept away. As long as Arsene Wenger doesn't start getting involved, a little bit like Alex Ferguson did at the start of Manchester United, I think we need to keep that distance and that respect away from, listen, it was your time. It's not your time anymore. We've moved in a different direction. There's nothing wrong with unveiling a statue of Arsene Wenger. Putting a bronze statue of him outside the Emirates is not going to do anything other than have put respect on the man's name. There's nothing. That's all it's going to do. It's not going to start making us talk about his return to the Emirates and come and manage us again, come and coach us again, come and be Mikel Arteta's right-hand man. None of that stuff, none of that. He probably has been mentoring Arteta in the past. Who knows? He coached him for so long. I think we need to be just aware that, be respectful. 10 unbelievable years at Arsenal from 96 to 2006, where he got us trophies, doubles, titles, Champions League final, Champions League qualification for so long, moved us to the Emirates, got us out of trouble, loads of respect for stuff that he did. But actually, there's a lot of stuff that did go wrong for him, and I think he deserves to be blamed for some of the stuff that he did. But my God, there needs to be an awful amount of respect that goes towards this man's name. So giving him a statue, I really don't see any issue with it whatsoever. I don't understand why people lose their heads about stuff like that. It's mad to me. Let's look at this next one. Gooners85, big up yourself, bro. Says, Dan, who would you start as our back four? Our back five. My back five, so I'll go with the goalkeeper as well, because the goalkeeper's obvious, Aaron Ramsdale. Left back, Zinchenko. Two centre backs together as a pair, Gabriel and Saliba. And then Ben White. The one player I would say that could potentially get a way into there is Jurrien Timber, because I do think that he is being bought because of his versatility, but also how comfortable he is on the ball, and he can play in that inverted role as well. So I do think that there's an opportunity there that to happen. The other, of course, option is that Kieran Tierney comes in for some of the games that should be more defensive minded. And I think Mikel Arteta lost out on that last season quite a bit. I think there were certain games where Mikel Arteta could have actually changed things around and go from there, because there's options there for Arsenal to look at in terms of a defensive mindset. And I think there was a couple of games where perhaps Jorginho, Trossard and Tierney weren't utilised enough. And I think that did catch us out a couple of times, if I'm honest. So this will be interesting. But that'll be my back four. Ali D, big up yourself, bro. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining us again. Says, do you think we'll get a striker, Dan? I don't think we will. There's a lack of options, and I don't think Arteta will want Ivan Toney. Well, I agree with the last bit. I don't think Mikel Arteta would want Ivan Toney because of his off-the-field antics. But I do think that he'd be my number one Premier League striker option. If it is to be anybody, I did say that I would probably go realistically for Vlahovic, because he's one that I know we've linked with before and it's on the radar of Arsenal. And he's probably the best option right now. I'm not so sure that Rasmus Højlund will come in and absolutely bang, but Manchester United are looking at him anyway. And then I don't think the other options are possible for Arsenal. I think we've got more chance of keeping Eddie and Balogun than going for Osimhen or Kane or somebody like that. So I don't think we'll get a centre forward. I do think there will be more chance of getting a winger and then trying to see if we can put all our eggs in one basket and do a Declan Rice and go for one big striker in the summer of next season. That's what I think Mikel Arteta probably wants to do. But that, of course, does worry me, because I think we need one right now. Let's look at what Wes Bird is saying. He's saying, what do you think we will still need in this transfer window to be, in your humble but accurate opinion, a perfect window for you? A 10 out of 10 window for me is a better goalkeeper than Matt Turner, a defence as it is now, 2 more midfielders coming in, say Tchouameni and Caicedo, something like that, or one of those and another 8. Then I think what we would need is a right winger like Moussa Diaby and a centre forward like Vlahovic. That for me would be a 9 or 10 out of window for me, because we are looking at those positions being completely covered. I still don't have real faith in Matt Turner, and people think that's harsh. I just seen enough to know that I'm not so sure that he is the answer. But listen, I could be proved wrong, man. I could be proved wrong. That's what I would do, Wes Bird. Right. What's the next question? Next question. Would you sell Thomas Partey? And if so, who would be your preferred replacement? I would not sell Thomas Partey, no. But it looks like he wants out, which means that I would have to sell him, because a player that doesn't want to be at the club is worthless. You've got to get rid of players like that. Who would I bring in? It would be Moses Caicedo. So I'd have Rice and Caicedo in my midfield with Ødegaard. But it looks to be a more realistic target, believe it or not, to go for somebody like Tchouameni. Now, I think that would be an absolutely outstanding signing if that was to become a reality. Rumours that Carlo Ancelotti may be leaving Real Madrid and going to manage Brazil. I don't know if anyone's heard about that. Please let me know in the chat if that's real. Daniel, there's a Real Madrid fan earlier. Let me know your thoughts. Is he going? That will be interesting to see what happens there. So that's what I would do, my friend. Please make sure that you put in your questions. Please make sure you throw in a super chat for me. Please make sure you like and subscribe. It would be amazing if you could do that for me. That would be superb. Okay, Clement is saying, which competition do you feel Arsenal can win this season? The Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, the Premier League, or the Champions League? Premier League is incredibly difficult because City have won it 5 times out of the last 6. The Champions League is even for any club really, really difficult. However, I've always said the Champions League is easier to win than the Premier League, and everybody says, yep, fair play. There's some, like that Lawless and some of the others, that say, no, it's not. It's the hardest to win. That's why Manchester City have only just won it and Arsenal have never won it. I disagree, particularly in the Premier League, because for me, the Champions League, there's been teams that have won that come 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th in their domestic league. So it means knockout competition is easier to get through than a consistent Premier League of 38 games. That's why I've always gone for that. So I think those two are going to be extremely difficult. If I was the one to pick one over the other, I would go with the Champions League, which people will laugh at. But I'm not saying we're going to. I'm saying that would be easier for me, for Arsenal, to win the league, the Premier League, the Champions League than the Premier League. But I think we're more likely to win a domestic cup. I really do. A lot of people are saying that we won't be going for the domestic cups because we're going to concentrate on the other 2 competitions. We've got to go for all 4. We can't sit there and start playing kids anymore. We have to rotate correctly. We have to go in and be very, very clever with this. And this is going to be tricky for Mikel Arteta. It's his first season doing this now, where he's been in all of the 4 big competitions. So this is going to be really, really tough, to be fair. Let's make sure I haven't missed any other questions so far. No, I haven't. I've got the right one starred, which is great. Let's bring in Brian, who says, we can only dress 20 per match. Who is not on the bench with today's squad? I have to answer that when the transfer window's shut, mate, if I'm honest with you. But for the moment, I'm looking at a bench right now of Turner, Tomiyasu, Tierney, Timber. Right now, I have to say Jorginho. And then I have to say Eddie and Trossard and Smith Rowe. Eddie, and then one more. Balogun, probably, if I'm honest. Yeah, that's probably my 9 subs, but I mean, it could change because I'm hoping it will, because the transfer window isn't shut yet. So let's hope that, bro. Let's hope that. Let's have a look at what else we have here. Okay, this is coming from Boss Bubla. Says, Dan, question. I know that we scored a load of goals last season from numerous players, but don't you think we need a 20-goal a season striker? Because Jesus is not enough up front for us, mate. I think Gabriel Jesus is fantastic. Really like him, right? I'm not dissing him at all, but I don't see him getting 25 goals. I really don't. I think he's a very good player, and I think you're right. There's goals by committee: 15 from Martinelli, 15 from Odegaard, 15 from Saka, 10 from Jesus, 7 from Granit Xhaka. Next season, I'd like to see similar from Declan Rice, because I do think that he can score and drive forward. I'd like to see some from Havertz and Odegaard trying to get into their double figures again. Saka and Martinelli need to equal, if not better, what they've done this season. But what would take us to the next level and compete with Man City would be if we got ourselves a Haaland-type striker. Now, I know they don't exist everywhere, but if we was to go and get Osimhen and he was to prime put 25 goals in a season, or a Harry Kane even type, boom, we're right up there. And that would have won us the league. That would have won us the league. Adding a 30-goal a season striker this season would have won us the league. It's facts. So I'm with you, bro. But I don't think that's going to happen this summer. I really don't. Hayden says, would you take the England's keeper, Trafford, as our number 2? I don't know who that is. The England keeper, Trafford. Does anybody know who that is? Are they talking about the one from Old Trafford? Are they talking about Dean Henderson, number 2 at Old Trafford? I don't know. Sorry, Hayden. I'm not following that one, bro. Maybe I'm not. I don't know who you mean. Please let us know in the chat. Wesbird says, going forward into this season, what do you think Arteta needs to improve with his management in order to get the best chance of being successful? This is a fantastic question. I think his in-game management needs to improve immensely. I think his substitutions and team selections need to be ruthless, and it needs to be done with more oomph and more confidence. I think sometimes when we look back on the seasons where we dropped points last season, the games we dropped points at home to Southampton after going 3-1 down. Rescuing a draw, Fabio Vieira should never have played that game. Never should have played that game. Zinchenko at Anfield should have been brought off in around the 65th minute. Brought him off in the 87th minute. Tierney comes on. It's too late. It's 2-2. Jorginho comes on at West Ham when I believed he would have been better off coming on at Anfield to try and calm the game down. We need a goal, and he's taken Jesus off for Jorginho. That didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Playing Rob Holding for the amount of time that he did, only to put Kivior in and then start to look a little bit better, was completely late for me. Bought in Kivior for 20 million and then you stick your Holding. Like, what's going on there? Very bizarre. So there has been some strange ones. There really has. And I think sometimes with his like-for-like substitutes, I've always given him a little bit of defence because we haven't had quite the squad depth there. But when we do have the squad depth, I can't see any more of these bringing on a player if nothing's going well, bringing on Eddie and Ketia for Jesus is not going to do anything. I need to see more than that. I need to see something changed up. I need to perhaps Trossard coming in the middle and Smith Rowe coming into the middle or something like that to play as an attacking 10 or as a false 9 from Trossard, something like that. I can't be seeing these like-for-like substitutes. So that's what I would say for that one. Kev R says, if we do not win anything next season, should Arteta be sacked? I think he should be, personally. Yeah, we're the most valuable club in the world other than Manchester City right now. If you was to sell all of our players, they believe that Manchester City would make the most money, Arsenal would make the second, PSG would make the third amount. So we have to win something, mate. You know, he's coming into his fourth season as a manager, his fifth season as an Arsenal manager, but fourth season, full season. Excuse me. It has to win something. It has to win something. A Premier League, a Champions League, an FA Cup would save him. Carabao Cup for me, if you're going to come into, say, a title race and the deep stages of the competition, you win the Carabao Cup, but you miss out on the others by maybe a semi-final, final, and come second in the league. That will probably just about save him. But other than that, if you don't win anything, like, how can we just keep going? And maybe he's the nearly guy. Maybe he's the guy for Arsenal. Maybe he's the one to take us like a Pep or a Klopp. We'll find out this season, that's for sure. Damien Kelly says, Dan, Diaby is too expensive and isn't all that good. Chukwueze and Williams are good alternatives. Fair play. I think a winger would be great. I think Diaby would be expensive, but I do rate the player. A lot of people saying they wouldn't have him. Fair. Listen, it's all opinions, man. It's all preferences. Chukwueze is a good player, by the way. Where else are we? Okay. Hang on a minute. I've lost where I am now. There's quite a few of these questions. Got that one. Let's get that one. There's a couple more. Sorry, I've been reading them out and I'm on my own here, so I'm trying to star some of the questions that you have, and I'm going to keep going for another 10 minutes or so. Let's keep going. Got a few more here. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. Let me get this sorted. Right, there we go. So this one has come from Boss Bublo. He says, don't you think that Ian Wright deserves a statue for breaking the goal scoring record at Arsenal? Come on, you Gunners. Gunners for life. My hero, my favourite player, not the best player to play for Arsenal in my opinion, but certainly my favourite player to play for Arsenal, and one that I grew up absolutely loving, and probably the reason I support Arsenal. It definitely is the main reason I support Arsenal in terms of where I live and also him being my hero. I would love to see Rocky and Righty with a statue together. I think it would be perfect for what the club represents, for what they both represent to the club, the fact that they'd be together. I think Ian Wright, a lot of people believe he should have a standalone statue. If you was to ask him, would you want one with your shirt, the 179, or would you want one with Rocky? He would 100% pick the one with Rocky because he loved him. And I think it would be only fair to have the famous picture of them two as a statue. That would be my number one for me. I'd actually have that ahead of Arsene Wenger, but let's not say that because people will get offended. Arsene Wenger deserves one, but that would be my choice for my next one. Paul Harper says, hey, Dan, I keep hearing supporters saying to get White out of the team and put Timber straight in, but in my opinion, White was the second best right back in the league last season. What do you think, bro? Spot on. Ben White doesn't get out this side right now. No chance. And people to say he got knackered, he dropped off. Yeah, they all did. But for me, this guy was ridiculously good. And I think it'd be extremely harsh to come in and throw Timber in. Now, a lot of people believe that Timber and Havertz are coming in straight away, boom. I'm not so sure. I think they've got to fight for their place, you know. I think that's what this is, our Arsenal side is all about now. I think it's about competition. Declan Rice walks straight in. But to the other two, maybe they do in Mikel Arteta's eyes, but certainly in my eyes, I wouldn't place either of them there yet. I'd wait to see what we do for the rest, and then we can look at it. But for me, at the moment, Ben White's there, and Partey and Declan Rice are in my midfield until they go. Partey goes, sorry. So Havertz isn't getting in at the moment either. A lot of people are putting Timber and Saliba together. Come on, what's Gabriel done wrong? He's a left-sided centre-back. Timber ain't. Timber's actually quite small as well, so I believe he's probably going to be played more as a right centre-back. As a right back or right inverted. But a lot of people are saying otherwise. Listen, it's a great signing and it's great for competition. So let's not moan about it. Let's just get on with it for me. That's the way I see it. Highbury's local badger top man says, Dan, question, do you believe Jesus is the perfect winger instead of being a centre forward? I think he can play both. I don't think he's a perfect anything, actually, because I don't think he is the perfect striker or the perfect winger. I think he's an extremely good footballer and one that has lifted our mentality, but also allowed for Martinelli and Saka to lift their form as well. So for me, there's a definite opportunity there for Gabriel Jesus to play as a winger as well as a centre forward. Steve, big up yourself, says, what realistic players would you get and how many more players at least? I think I'll be looking at getting at least 3 players, maybe 4, depending on who's leaving, as well as the 3 that we've just got coming in. And realistic players, I honestly believe that Lavia and Caicedo could both be realistic. And I honestly believe that Moussa Diaby could be realistic as well. I also believe that if we were to go for a striker, that Vlahovic or Rasmus Højlund would be the ones that we would look to go for over the likes of Osimhen. So there'd probably be some realistic targets for you. Let's start to take your last few questions now, and then we're going to come to a wrap up. This has come from Andre. Big up, Andre. Andre says, your mate Ligana said that Arteta still has to be sacked after the season. Do you agree? Well, the season's not over yet, mate. I don't think we can sack him now. And he hasn't kicked a ball yet, have we? So I think we need to be aware of where Arteta and Arsenal are at the end of the season. And as I said, if it's trophyless, I do believe he needs to go. There's no more excuses now. There's no more excuses. That's the way I see it. Last few questions. Wes Berder says, who else do you want to leave or be sold because there are surplus to requirements and simply not good enough for the Arsenal? Ruddison out, Cedric out, Tavares sold, Lokonga sold. I think Charlie Patino loaned. Balogun, preference of loan, but potentially sold if he doesn't want to be here. Eddie and Nketiah, likewise, if we can get a striker that's better than him, potentially. Pepe, I think, needs to be sold. Maitland-Niles has gone. Pablo Maria's gone. And I think we're there or thereabouts then, aren't we? So they were talking about 10 players there that Arsenal have let go. We're probably going to recuperate a few 100 million there, maybe 120 million, let's say, tops. So, yeah, that's what I would do, bro. I really can't see that there's any room for them players in the side. I just really don't, if I'm honest with you. So that's the way I see it. Let's take this one. I think Arteta recognises last season we didn't have the quality in depth defensively when we lost Saliba and Tomiyasu at the same time, and he wants quality backups and multifunctional players. I believe Timber is coming into that mix. I really, really do. Arsenal forever, says Dan. What is your favourite Arsenal double winning team? Is it 71, 98 or 2002? This one for me is quite simple. 2002. I thought the 98 side was outstanding with Petit and Overmars, who I thought were just brilliant signings. The 71, I can't sit there and lie to you. I was definitely not born, so it doesn't connect to that side like some of you would. But for me, 2002 had absolutely everything. I'm beaten away from home. And I would say was more ruthless in times than the Invincibles season, funny enough. And that's crazy to say, isn't it? Because the Invincibles are the Invincibles and didn't lose a game and will always be remembered as the best. But actually, when you look at it, this 2002 side was mad. It had Tony Adams still. It had David Seaman still. So we had those two instead of Lehman and Torre. Two absolute legends of the club still there. The final against Chelsea, the Ray Parlour goal, the Freddie Ljungberg goal. And then, of course, in 2002, we had such an amazing end to it, didn't we, really, by winning the league at Old Trafford. In a way, although it was really nice to do it at White Hart Lane, it felt better at Old Trafford because they were our rivals. You know, Tottenham weren't our rivals back then. You know, they're still not even our rivals now, really, because neither of us are winning stuff. And we didn't win stuff together back then. It was Arsenal winning stuff. But Arsenal and United had a serious rivalry. For me, winning the league at Old Trafford would always feel better than winning it at White Hart Lane. Some people may disagree. I don't have the obsession with Spurs like some of the Arsenal fans do. I don't see Tottenham as relevant. They're not a team that I look at and go, oh, I'm really seriously worried about them. I look at Man United over the last 10, 20, 50, 30, 40 years and think, yeah, they're serious. They're a serious club. That's the way I see it, man. I've got to say it. 2002. Great question, by the way. I love nostalgia questions. Get them in. Guys, we're going to leave it there. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you for the last 40, coming up to 45 minutes. All real ones. Thank you so much. Make sure you do me a favor. Smash a like on this video. I need to know how many likes we're on now. Have we hit 100? Over 100 yet? Yes, we have. Let's get that up to 200 people as quickly as we can. Please make sure that you do subscribe to the channel because that's just as important as liking it for me. If you do want to join as a member, you can do as well. Don't feel you have to. Please make sure that you do that. I'm going to try and get up to 15k as quickly as I can. Now that I've hit 10, there's no stopping us as a community. So let's keep it going, people. I'll be back tomorrow night as ever to start talking about what's happening in this crazy window for another late night roundup and trying to bring you all news, not just Arsenal related, but of course, today it had to be Arsenal. It's the team at the moment that is doing the right stuff in the transfer window. Let's hope it keeps going, man, because we need to be seeing a lot more before I'm going to be happy. That's for sure. Make sure you do yourself a favor Take care of yourself and each other. I will be back tomorrow night. I will see you then. Take it easy. And of course, up the Arsenal. Thanks a lot, people.